Well, everybody, we're just going to give a couple more minutes for everybody to get in for today's webinar, and we'll get going shortly. Thanks for joining. All right, well, it looks like we have a pretty good group here, so we're going to get going. My name is Adam Groh. I'm the Director of Customer Success here at Core Software. Welcome, everybody. We're happy that you all could join us. This is our weekly webinar series for March 31st, 2016. As usual, we will post this up on our Zendesk web portal for you after today's presentation, where you can download today's video as well as the deck from today's presentation. We're actually going to go over renewal strategy, not in any particular department, but just overall. No matter what department you are in on a sports team, you're going to have renewals. It's a huge piece of the business, whether or not you are in sponsorship, whether you're in suites and premium or ticketing. So what we'll cover today is the importance of renewals, renewal timing, and various renewal strategies across ticketing and sponsorship. We'll end, as usual, with quick tips and open Q&A. So the question is, how important are renewals? Well, it's a fact that renewals make up most of your annual revenue. In fact, we ran a study across 6 to 7 different teams that we work with, and just a quick statistics showed that across these, the average was 70% of their sponsorship renewal, or their sponsorship revenue from this year was up for renewal the following year. That means 3/4 of your revenue in the sponsorship department is up for renewal year over year. Talking about ticketing, ticketing for most teams is actually a renewal on a year-to-year basis. So all your ticketing revenue is actually up for renewal as well year over year. So yes, it's very important. It's a huge piece of our business, and it makes up a gigantic portion of our annual revenue. That time of year comes around every year where sales teams are running around, sales managers and VPs, trying to figure out their renewal strategies, their pricing, everything. They're extremely focused on them. So as an analyst and a strategist, we should be too. In fact, what we should be doing is thinking ahead of them. We should be saying, how can we help them as a strategy and analytics team be more efficient with their renewal process and make this more a simple process for them to go into and get completed. So with that being said, we're going to look at ways to better get better adoption through renewals. We can leverage the fact that, you know, we have all this data, we have all these tools that the salespeople use to hopefully get better adoption and buy-in to the CRM system. CRM in organizations is usually a kind of a no-no, and they're scared of it, and they think it's big brotherish, but really that shouldn't be the case. Really what it should be doing is making a sales team's life easier, and not just a sales team, a sales manager, a vice president, as well as other departments in the organization, accounting, finance, marketing, operations, all the above. So how do we do that? Well, we got to think ahead of these guys or these teams and where they're trying to go and be one step ahead of them. So, we have a few different suggestions. Timing. Have opportunities ready to go prior to the renewal date. Ticket sales opportunities loaded in, ready to go. Sponsorship. Have your deals rolled over. Have a nice report ready to go for your sponsorship reps saying, here's where your renewals are, start working them. Train reps to use the intel before the opportunities actually hit their desk so that they know what they're doing. Okay, I just mentioned intel. We need to give them intel. Okay, preload the opportunities with as much data as possible. Ticketing, let's get in all the seating information, how many tickets they should expect, what the estimated revenue is, what the order number is, as well as maybe some lead scoring type stuff. Maybe you're an NBA team, you get the NBA FICO score or retention score. Maybe you're working with Turnkey or another kind of retention scoring system. Get that loaded on the opportunity so it's available for the reps at the tip of their hands. One team that we work with has actually not moved away from the typical renewal campaign and is actually doing multi-renewal campaigns, and the campaigns are tiered based on the likelihood based off of the NBA retention scoring and NBA flight scoring that was provided to them. So likely to renew, unlikely to renew, fence sitters, at risk. So instead of having one campaign, they have 4 campaigns that they aggregate all their data into, just helping the reps be more organized and more equipped as they go to renew. Reporting, as I mentioned earlier, reporting is huge. Have reporting available for all levels of the organization immediately as you launch the renewals or prior so that they know, okay, here's our goals. Here's our number that we have to hit, and putting it in front of them and making it front of mind in the easiest way possible. And then finally, our renewal's over for this season. A lot of you guys just went through or are going through the renewal process right now or on the tail end of it. If so, what did you learn from this renewal period? Great. Let's take that and let's start preparing for next season now. Renewals with them being as much of the business revenue as they are should be top of mind all year long, not just through the renewal period or before it. Let's start now taking learnings from this renewal period and apply it later on for the next year. Doing things like utilizing the ad hoc campaign functionality from Core, where you can actually go and put in the 2017 renewal so that as reps renew and they open up a new opportunity or a new phone call, they can just drop it into that renewal campaign right away, and the renewal process doesn't start with the typical timeline for that league, but in fact starts prior, right away. As you work through the year and you have all these different touch points with your season ticket members or your corporate partners, every touch point along the way has something to do with renewal. And just start brainstorming on actual data that you captured or you could capture throughout the season for next renewal period. So what we have here is we have a seasonal renewal management timeline by league. What this shows is the solid lines are actually showing the league season. So if I zoom in here, you'll notice the NBA runs October through July, NFL September through December, playoffs not included. MLB is April through May, NHL similar to the NBA, October through June, and MLS starts in March and ends around November. So the typical selling period from what we've seen and what we've experienced with our teams is typically the months before. So if we take the NBA, for example, usually renewals for sponsorship deals and retention for season tickets go on sale usually sometime between January and February. Your April, May, you might see groups go on sale. June, July, August, all your minis. Just depends on what league you're in and how that works, but you typically have, a 10-month selling period. And every organization's different, but the ones who are doing it better aren't waiting until that January on sale date or the November on sale date or the August on sale date. Really what they're doing is they're getting in months ahead of it, which is represented by our green dots here. And the green dots, what they represent are kind of the prep period, as we call it, as strategy and analytics people. Where really we want to get ready for that selling season and equip our sales teams with as much data, with as much strategy as possible. So really we need to focus on these green dots. So depending on where your league is at, what league you're in, excuse me, this is kind of what we suggest is preparing your renewals, whether it's corporate partnerships, ticketing, or suites and premium during these green time periods, if not sooner. And as you'll notice here, if not all of them, most of them, with maybe the outside of MLS, really it's after the season starts, which is kind of counterintuitive. I mean, really, I think most people kind of would say as they enter this industry or would look from the outside in that, okay, great, the season started, now it's time to relax and just focus on activation. But really, no. I mean, as a strategist and analyst, my busy work is beginning right as the season gets going. So it's important that we understand these timelines so that, you know, January or February doesn't come as an NBA team and we're trying to prep for the renewal period while it's already started. So keeping those green lines in mind, you know, we've just kind of developed some pointers to utilize the prep time available to you. And really, to do this successfully, you really need to mark your calendar and say, look, okay, this is my selling season. I need to have everything ready for my sales team prior to it. So go home or go back to your desk, mark your calendars and Outlook and say, look, this is when I really need to start strategizing. And in order to really utilize the prep time efficiently, we have a few different ways or tips that we would recommend you do. First is strategize with other departments. The obvious one on here is sales. Of course you're going to strategize with sales. You're going to work with your directors. You're going to work with your VPs to understand their targets, what they're trying to accomplish this selling season. Obviously they're trying to accomplish renewals, but they're also or 100% renewals, but you know, there's new business goals, there's all sorts of stuff. So if you can work with them and try to understand what they're trying to accomplish, you can better use your data to help them along the way. Marketing is another one. What kind of data do you have that you can share with marketing as they go out and start building their creative for the next season, as their renewal packets, their marketing plans, their media plans? What can you do to help them kind of more strategically target whoever it is you're going after, businesses versus fans, you know, that type of stuff. Accounting, what is their financial goals? How are they reporting the data? How can you help them, maybe even more specifically on the sponsorship side, adjust rate cards and change the way that rate cards are done year over year so that they can get efficient, easier reporting out of the system. And operations, your ticketing operations group is in there building all these tickets, all these orders. Work with them and help understand kind of what they're trying to do and maybe how you can streamline it. My experience while I was at the Jazz, you know, we noticed that they were doing all sorts of various price codes that just didn't make sense, and we went in there and we helped them kind of make a more universal, systematic price code magazine, and it really helped them be more organized. It helped us with reporting, and it helped sales guys. It was just more easier, more efficient. So your operations team, even though you may be included in either operations or marketing or even finance, your particular group, work with everybody, and really this is kind of the central hub for business in a lot of teams, and so you really have to have all these different conversations. Develop goals. Too many times we see goals aren't established early. You need to have these goals ready to go, not even the day it starts, but prior. Again, going back to prep, setting these goals, understanding what needs to be achieved, and putting them in front of the reps and the managers so they know what the ultimate target is. And the initial, just because it's an initial goal doesn't mean it's a final goal. And what I mean by that is goals can fluctuate. Different things happen throughout the season, and you may need to actually change that and be flexible as you go. So don't set your goals and think you're done. Always work with your sales management team to kind of be adjusting as you go based on circumstances and scenarios. Analysis. This is a huge piece of the prep period, and I think becoming more and more a piece of our business is set your pricing. Get it done early. Present logical arguments to management on why the pricing needs to be what you're recommending using data. I think it's well known in this industry that sometimes there's pricing is based off of, well, I've been in the thought process that I've been in this industry for years, I get it. But, you know, as analysts and people who use data to drive decisions, we need to place logical arguments in front of management of why pricing may need to change, whether it goes up or down or price codes change, whatever it is. Get your new inventory built, run the analysis on it, get it done, get it rolled over, and make sure that it's ready to go as soon as your reps hit the street. And then data integrated into opportunities, whether it's sponsorship, suites and premium, or ticketing. Get your lead scoring in there, your confidence levels that are built off models, or just the basic data associated with that ticket order. And reporting, again, I can't preach enough on this. Have reporting available for all levels of the organization immediately and start sending it out early so they get in the habit of looking at that report and asking questions. So next I'm going to focus on just ticketing renewals and kind of our process or our suggestions and a couple of just scenarios where teams are doing a really good job with prepping for ticket renewals. Again, think back to those green dots in that prep period prior to going on sale with your renewals. Utilize a renewal template to create customized, detailed campaigns for reps with as much detail as possible. Use things such as revenue, tickets and seats, order number, price code, incentive, rating, as I mentioned earlier, scores and lead ratings. One thing that we would do in Utah is we would incorporate our MBA flight survey results for those who took it into the campaigns, as well as our MBA retention scores, and just so the reps had a better idea of really where to focus their efforts. Do I focus it on the 5s and knock them out quickly? Do I focus it on the 1s and 2s and that need more time? Again, all organizational strategy, nothing's right, nothing's wrong, but it's important that we give the data to our sales team so they can actually make those decisions. And then the idea is hopefully it will drive more strategic processes the following year, but just get it in front of them. As you can see here, this is one of our clients, one of our NHL teams. They do an awesome job of loading in the data. And as I've been harping is, yes, it helps the reps, it empowers the reps, it gives the reps an idea of where to focus. But it also helps with the reporting. You'll see here that what they have is the product, the season, order number, comments. They also have this price code H212, and what that would do is it would actually auto-close the opportunity should the team or the lead and the season ticket member renew online. So if I went online and renewed, I didn't have an opportunity and an outstanding activity associated to that person anymore. I actually would auto-close it, which a lot of our clients do, and if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out to us and we can help you with that, and is likely to become just a standard feature of the product in the near future. Going back, this is again the same data that you were seeing here, now just transferring over into the activity screen, and this is huge because what we're doing here is we're pre-populating about 10 rows of data that the rep no longer has to do. When you think about it from a rep level, if we just sent this renewal out for them and we didn't pre-populate anything, at some point they're going to have to fill all this in. But if we can pre-populate it for them, they can focus on the selling. They can focus on being more educated going into the call. And on top of that, it just streamlines it for them, gets more buy-in. What if something changes? What if they get upgraded? Or what if they upgrade? What if they downgrade? Well, there's your info right there. They can change it around. They can move that estimated revenue. Maybe they're going up into some nicer seats to $4,000. It's all available for them right there. Just a couple more examples. Again, the sales dashboard, the to-do list, and the premium renewals. If I kind of zoom in here, you'll see we can see the opportunity size. We can see the number of tickets. We can see estimated close dates. And again, all this data goes back to forecasting revenue, which I'll show you at the very forecasting and reporting actual revenue. in the very end, which is our ultimate goal, right? So moving on to sponsorship renewals. So a little bit of a different process, but at the same time, you're really trying to do the exact same thing at a foundational level, and that's prepare the reps as well as possible for going out and doing the renewals. That means putting all their opportunities in front of them, whether it's a deal sheet or a ticket sales opportunity. The process for sponsorship renewals are review the inventory, eliminate old inventory and rate cards that are no longer needed, or merge them. A lot of times you realize that you were selling one piece of inventory and another piece of inventory, and really you could package them together and they could be the same thing. Build the package out and make it a simpler process for the rep to buy. Evaluate all your rates and better understand your inventory. Did we sell out of these last year? Yes, okay, and we have 3 coming up. Let's raise the rates on them. Are we not selling any of them? Okay, we're not. Maybe we need to bundle these with something. Maybe we can actually now sell these as a package and get a little value out of them. Maybe we just need to discount them. Again, all this needs to happen, and that's why that 2-month time frame is so important. You start right at the very beginning, because all of you know that it's not that quick to make all these decisions. You have to go through approval processes, proposals, and again, evaluating our rates is an important piece in the sponsorship world that just isn't as focused on, but becoming more and more relevant. Build out your new season event list, right? Yeah, sure, you don't know your schedule yet, but you can go and put game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, game 5, game 6. And why this is so important is because this is going to give you an accurate count of inventory when you get to step 4. What happens is you put your event list in, all 44 home games if you're in the NBA, 8 home games, 8, 9 home games if you're in the NFL, whatever it may be. And the way that obviously you all know the sponsorship module works is it's going to go in, it's going to take the quantity that you deemed available per game, times it by the number of events, and boom, there's your available inventory. If you're not putting these in, you're not going to be able to understand your inventory from the beginning. And then once that's all done, you've now reviewed your inventory, you've made it more organized, you've reevaluated the rates. Now it's time, you put in your event list, now it's time to roll it over. So using our rollover tool, you just go ahead, you roll over the deal, and it happens in 2 different phases. Obviously, if I zoom in here, oh, excuse me, that was not what I wanted to do. All right, we're back on track. So if I zoom in here, you can see we have 2 options here on the start rollover. I understand that these may be kind of confusing, so think of them this way. The top one is called roll over the inventory items in this deal sheet. So basically what that's saying is these are deals that are contracted through the next season. Maybe they're multi-year, 4 or 5 year deals down the line, but whatever it is, those are deals that are contracted. So when you click that button, below there'll be an entire list of all your deals that are multi-year deals. First step is to roll those over. Second step, copy forward into a new first season deal sheet. What that is saying is copy over all deals that are expiring in this example, 2014, and roll over into 2015. They will hit a renewal and draft status for you, which now all of a sudden you can say, here was our revenue. Let's start reporting what our renewal potential is while giving the reps every single deal that's up for renewal, it ready to go with the inventory the season over again. This is very, very important for so many reasons. One, reporting, like I said, what's already contracted and what's up for renewal. Making it more efficient for a rep to do their job without having to worry about rolling over their 10, 15 different deals. It's ready for them right there. And again, if you put a report in front of them, they're ready to go with, they're armed and ready to go with their renewal numbers. Finally, we have the reporting. Again, as I mentioned, reporting is huge. It's just so important. You can get everybody buying in, from your president, your senior vice, or your C-level people to your SVPs and VPs down, while your president and C-level people may not be in the system daily using it, they will look at reports coming from the system. And so if everybody below them knows that they're looking at those reports, it's going to automatically create buy-in to the system if they know that every morning El Presidente is getting the report in his inbox ready to go. So again, it's just starting that conversation, and a very powerful tool is automated subscriptions. They're very impactful. A lot of teams are using them, PDFs every morning in their inbox, that type of stuff. Type of reports, activities completed, pipeline status, pipeline revenue, progress to goal, lost deals, lost revenue, really impactful numbers that will get executive management to start looking and start asking more questions, which is what you always want once they're asking more questions. Hopefully it will bring up new ideas and bring up what's important to them. And as we mentioned, you know, if you can get a top-down buy-in, you're really going to have a culture that believes in CRM and strategy and analytics. So that's kind of the portion of today's renewal strategy presentation. We have one quick tip for you, for all you sponsorship users out there. It came to our attention that a few people were saying, well, hey, we have some rate cards that we don't want people to see, whether they sold out, it's a rate card that we're still reviewing, or is a work in progress, or, you know, it's no longer available, we don't want to sell it. We do have an option where you can actually hide it. So if you go to your rate card, just straight through your inventory, down to the rate card level, pick the rate card you want. You can see on the screenshots here, we have this status with a lowercase s, and you can go to that, and there's draft pending published. If it's not filled in and it's blank, it will show up in the deal wizard as well. If it says published, draft and pending will not. So you can kind of use that to say, hey, you know what, our drafts are in progress, our pending sold out, you know, and hopefully eventually we'll add a sold out one in there. It's on the roadmap. But, you know, please let us know if you have any questions on this. We can even add it to the export tool for you. So as you export and import in and out of the system, you can actually manually hide it from there. So that's today's webinar. We appreciate all of you for joining us. Please, we're going to see if we have any questions here. So we'll pause for a moment. All right. Well, thank you all for joining, and we will push this up to the Zendesk portal for any of you who want to review it or share it with your organizations. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you soon.